What's up? How are you doing?
Great.
Welcome to Burn the Ship.
Burn
The Ship podcast for entrepreneurs. We have Cathy Barbieri here. She is the owner of BNI Atlanta. And Mike Barbieri owns it too. He's behind me. He's making sure we're doing the job right, actually, right now. Texting us. Yeah, he's the boss. He's the boss. He's the puppet master.
Yes.
Behind the scenes. So, Cathy, we've never had you on here. We've known each other for a long, long time, and I'm glad to have you on finally. Tell everybody what BNI is first.
BNI is Business Networking International. BNI is now in 79 countries. So the primary goal is to help our members make more money through referrals in a structured manner. So we have chapters all over the world that are exclusive. So they allow one person from each industry to participate and pass referrals to each other.
That's awesome. And the unique thing about BNI is it's structured in a way that each profession has a seat in the chapter. So there's no competition going on within the chapter.
Correct.
And how many chapters does Atlanta have right now?
We have 67 existing chapters and then about 25 new groups forming all over. Yeah.
Okay, cool. What do you think's challenging about what you do in the structure of BNI? I know it's challenging in everyday business, and what do you think that you do that is great? Like you do something really good.
Challenging. Let's see. Today, the challenge would be, I think, our members think networking is easy. We were talking about this earlier.
Sure.
I just go out, meet a bunch of people, and it's really not. There's so many levels to that, right? The follow-up skills, the collaboration. So people that want results quickly without investing the time and building the relationship, they think it'll come much quicker.
Life just doesn't work like that, does
No,
it?
unfortunately, it does not. So that I think is the challenge, mainly because people aren't patient to build a relationship. But if they stick in and follow the system, it'll work. So, especially if they're likable. We don't like grumpy cats, so we don't let them in.
That's right. What do you do great?
What do we do great? We think outside the box. I think me specifically, and from years, I love helping our members get in front of more people. Using the BNI meeting as a way to meet new people, not to get them to join necessarily. I mean, sure, some will, but the idea is we can help people understand the value of spending the time to get in front of those people by inviting them to network. So I'm good at that.
If I'm a new business or an old business, me and Mike talked about this earlier, but if I'm a new,
you're old?
Yeah, I'm definitely old now. If I'm a new business, why do I join BNI? Because I don't know. I cut grass. That's what I do for a living. I don't do sales.
Yeah, it's interesting. With some of our new members, we ask them this question on our onboarding webinars. Other than referrals, that's why they want to join, right?
Of course.
What are the other ancillary benefits? The education, we hear a lot about, I'm really good at cutting grass, but I don't know how really to network. And a lot of people, again, think networking is passing out business cards, but there's 15 layers deep of that. So I think that the education that we provide to our members, the collaboration, the sense of community. Someone on our last new member webinar said being an entrepreneur is kind of lonely. So that gives them a community of people to bounce ideas off of as well that are business related and personal related. So I think that's the reason why, other than the obvious referrals.
Sure. And when I train my guys to do networking, it's obviously I'm a big BNI believer. Most of all my guys are in BNIs, but you have to do it all. You have to go to the chambers too, because that's where you get visitors from BNI. That's where you get other business. You have to do it all. You have to go to the city ones. You have to go to the free ones, and free actually gets you what you get usually. Roderick is in one that is totally online still, and it's all over the nation. And this happened this morning. You're gonna like this. This is a really good testimonial because it's real and it just really happened. And he goes, man, it's weird because I get a lot of one-to-ones because the lady told everybody, it's like when Roderick does a one-to-one with you, which is a term really by BNI standards.
Yeah.
People don't know that, but that is a term that they kind of created. But they said that the lady goes, he does his meetings with you, he gets to know about you personally. He gets to know about your business. And she goes, I did a 45-minute interview with him, and 36 of the minutes I counted was about me, not him. And so he got like 5 or 6 other one-to-ones after that. They were coming at him to do it, and I said, you know what? That's really from your BNI training.
Yeah.
That's where it came
Yeah.
from.
Yeah,
That's where it came
absolutely.
from. And I was like, they're just not. Other organizations don't train you and educate you like BNI does, and that's why it costs a little more money than $100 a year.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think
'cause
a
you get
lot
the
of people
education.
see it as it, BNI takes a lot of time. But one of our new members just 2 years ago said, I prospect pretty much all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm having lunches and coffees, and they're not as productive. And now I know what to call it and add some strategy, right?
That's
So
right.
he's like, actually, it's helping me save time and energy by being more efficient and effective while I'm networking. So I thought that was really insightful for a new member to say all the activities that we recommend,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about building relationships and, focusing on helping other people. So
Yeah. Well, look, when you get into that, when you get trained in something, you don't know what you don't know. So you think networking is handing out business cards, but then you said it's 15 layers deep or 20 or 30 or 40 layers deep. It's there's a lot to it. But I look at it like this. So my daughter was she was like 5 and my other daughter was like 2, and they were jumping on the trampoline. And I was cooking dinner on the porch outside. And I walk over there and I was like, hey girls, dinner's almost ready, so I need you to come up. And the 5-year-old looked up at me and said, 5 more minutes, Dad. And it dawned on me right then. And I did a whole presentation in business about this like a week later. And I said, she doesn't have any concept of what 5 minutes is at all. She only knows that if I say yes, she doesn't have to get off the trampoline right then. That's it.
did you give her 5 more minutes?
No, I told her to come up. Dinner was ready, but it dawned on me she had no concept of it.
Right.
The only thing she knew is I don't have to do it right now, and it could have been a minute later where I said, 5 minutes up, you got to come upstairs, or it could have been an hour later. She just knew right then.
Right.
And that's with people that have never done a structured networking thing. They don't have any concept of it, so they'll say no, or I'm going to do networking. I'm doing this, but they really don't have any concept of what true networking is and how to do it where it's effective and long lasting, right? So when I get I probably a lot of people are like this, but in 2006 I go to my first BNI meeting in Woodstock and I sit down. And, I'm not a member, but there's like 30 people around the table and they're all different professions. And I'm a cold calling dude this time. I've never even heard of these meetings. I never even heard of these meetings. I didn't know they existed. Right. So I sit down and I look around the table. It's like, I could sign everybody up in here.
I can hear you saying
You know what I mean? Like, and I can tell I'm going to sign everybody. Of course, I'm going to pay my $500 or whatever, whatever it was then back then. Yeah, I'm going to sign everybody up. But the more I learned, that's not what you want to do because you want to get to know those people, and eventually they will come to you probably. But you don't want them. You want the people they know.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. It's not a buyer's club, right? And a lot of people see it as, oh yeah, all these new clients, but that's short term, like you're saying. So.
It's a long lasting referral source if you treat it properly and professionally. Again, nothing that's quick is really it's either illegal or it's gonna go fast anyways. So
When you can't build a long term business based on that, just the quick hits here and there. So it may hit your numbers this month, but that's not what we want for our members. We want them to grow, personally and professionally, and have that long-term relationship, not just a quick, referral hit.
Just so we're specific, because I said this yesterday at the BNI group that I was at. I was like, you guys are saying you want this person, or you're saying you want this attorney, and you want, we need this person. I was like, I know that Cathy's told you the yellow car story. I was like, you need to be specific. Name a name. I want Joe Smith that's a chiropractor across the street, because then Dan might know Joe Smith or you. So let's be specific about that. And some of them raised their hand about the yellow car. I was like, she did a yellow car. I was like, she taught me that story and it makes sense. So it's the same thing. Be specific. Yeah. So if I'm asking you to be specific by your own words, specifically, what are good industries to join BNI?
Well, we have several spheres, right?
Okay, let's talk about those.
So we have the real estate sphere, the financial, business to business, health and wellness. There's some sub spheres as well, but those are the four main spheres, right? Some chapters will have a legal sphere or a wedding sphere. They call themselves the wedding mafia. I don't know why,
I
but
love it
yeah,
because it's cool. That's why.
it is cool. But it's basically, when we talk about spheres in that scenario, you're talking about the meeting, like who do you want to get referrals from?
Their client's the same.
Huh?
Their client is the same. Maybe,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they share a similar client,
Right,
right? So
okay.
their target markets are the same. But sometimes members think, or anyone, not just BNI members, like, who do I want to get business from? Which sounds great, but if you don't have a relationship with them, it's still a cold call. You still have
course.
to network, and it takes time. So we kind of flip that around and say, who do you already send business to? And
So if I'm a mortgage broker, like a real estate
Yeah.
agent,
yeah,
and maybe a home inspector,
yep.
yeah,
And even in one we were talking with a mortgage guy. No, it was a home and auto guy that was saying, "Well, mortgage people are great for me because their clients need,
Home
referrals,
insurance.
right, or referrals for a home insurance person." And I'm like, "Yeah, but who else calls on?" And he couldn't get the concept. Who else calls on homeowners? He's like, "I'm not following." And that's where I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get a hold of his brain.
That's right. That's
And
right.
really help him see it's not just, yeah, sure, mortgage people can pass him referrals, and his mortgage consultant in his chapter can introduce him to more mortgage people as referral partners.
Who else is in the home with them? Is what you're saying, like landscapers that are
Yeah,
getting.
so I'm like, okay, so let's say a painter or a pest control person.
Sure.
They're dealing with the homeowners. All they have to do is say, hey, I know it's off topic, but have you had your auto insurance or your homeowner's insurance quoted recently? Or, whew, rates are really, skyrocketing. Have you reevaluated your home insurance?
Yeah.
And
By the way, here's your new bill. Rates have gone
right.
up.
Yeah. And so he's like, oh, I've never thought about asking them. And I'm like, but you're passing referrals to the pest control guy, right? And he's like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, how much do you think you've passed him? A lot. Okay, now you call him and say, hey, Dan, pest control Dan, I've sent you some referrals.
Yeah, pay
I
up.
could probably, kinda. I could probably send you more if I focus on it. True. And he's like, yes. I said, then tell him maybe you could flip me one or two. Are you open to having a conversation? And he was like, he about fell out of his chair.
Sure.
He was like, I've never thought about asking for the business. And you don't have to be a jerk about it.
No.
But
You can be, though.
You can't. You can be. But
You probably won't do well, but
no. But having people think through that process of not just going out to find someone that doesn't even know you, but the database we all sit on, people that like us, know us, trust us. Some of us, we know them very well. Then why don't they pass us referrals? Because we probably haven't asked them.
Never
we
asked.
haven't talked about it.
never asked.
Right? No.
Never had that one-to-one. Kind of what we went in before is having that one-to-one, a meaningful one-to-one, and knowing who their client is and being specific about who their client is. Because if I give you stuff, I'm probably going to receive it back, and that's one of the giver's gain is a BNI motto. So if you give a lot, you're probably going to receive a lot, especially in holistically in the group.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Especially, I think, if you verbalize it. That's the thing I think is a miss for a lot of our members and just referral partners in general. I may try and pass you a referral, but if I don't tell you that I'm trying and it never happens, you don't know I'm trying. So
Sure.
I think even to saying, hey, Jay, I'm working on a referral for you, and here's the scenario. Do you have any input? Maybe it doesn't go anywhere, but don't you want to know I'm trying?
Right.
And that builds a relationship.
Of course.
Even if it doesn't turn out. So I think just really communicating,
But the more
desire.
the more one-to-ones you have, the better that is. You can't just have one-to-one,
no.
right? You don't just go on one date before you get married.
Yeah.
So you have to continuously
We had
do
a
it
member
and
that
cultivate that
rushed
relationship.
up at a meeting and said, I broke a record. And I'm like, cool, what's that? And they had like 35 members or something. He goes, I had a one-to-one with every member in the first month. That's a record. And I'm like, cool. And he goes, and then I was like, that's great. And I'm done for the year. I was like, oh. Right? Because it's not, and that's what people think. Oh, I need to do these activities. I'll check the box. It's not box checking that we're looking for. You want to continue to have those further relationships because we're meeting new people all the time.
Sure.
In a true one-to-one, and it's...
And you're focusing on getting through the list instead of doing it right. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think, and so we see a lot of people that will check the boxes, and we call them 90-minute members, basically.
Right.
But they don't go deeper. And the one-to-ones, we almost want to rebrand them instead of so blasé, like, oh, let's have a one-to-one. instead, we want more strategy in those meetings. Get to know each other and learn about each other's business. We can talk all day, but until I say, "Hey Jay, let me pull my laptop out and look up a couple of people for you that I know." Remember, you called me a couple of years ago, and you said you have a contact on Facebook, and his name is, I don't know, I can't remember who it was.
I do it all the time still.
Yeah,
so.
right. How well do you know that person?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. What do you need? And you're like, I need an introduction. I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. That's what we want the one-to-ones to be about. Once we get to know each other and we're comfortable, that's when you go and prospect in each other's database.
The one-to-one in my mind, is what I mastered at BNI. You want to have a good 60 seconds, don't get me wrong, but it's meaningless compared to the one-to-one.
Yeah.
Meaningless. Because, and you all need to do, come on, have a good 60 seconds.
Yeah.
It's awesome to have a good 60
Right.
seconds. It's awesome to have a good 10-minute. But the one-to-ones is where you really, truly draw referrals.
Yeah.
And give referrals.
If it's done correctly.
Absolutely.
We can go and have chips and salsa all day long
Right.
and talk about our dogs.
But my guys
and
know
boats.
to go, here's the 3 people I signed up in the last month.
Right.
And I signed up ABC Tool Company. I signed up XYZ Grass Cutting Company. And I signed up a web designer that does all the processing. Which one's good for you?
Yep.
Because I'm opening my book right then to them and they're going, oh, I want to talk to them. Great. I don't tell them I'm going to do it. I pull out my phone and I do it right there in front of them. Because guess what? I'm going to ask, hey, what was the last 3 people you signed up? And that is a very productive way to do it.
And that's, I think.
But I'm going to do it first. I'm going to show the way.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. How do you treat your referral partners is teaching them how they're going to treat you back, right? And giver's gain and all the fluff nicety is great, but coming straight to the point of, these are the people I need to meet. Can you help me out? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to do it literally right then.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people maybe aren't comfortable being that upfront. Like, let me just call them right now. Because they may not have the deep relationship with that client, right?
I don't have to call them. I can shoot an email. I can shoot an
text or
email or a
something,
text with them on. Hey, meet Cathy.
Absolutely.
She's the BNI owner of Atlanta, and I can do it right then and go. That I would rather call them, but it's okay to text or email them and say, hey, this is somebody I like, somebody I trust, they're in my BNI group. Hey, have a 5-minute phone call. I'm not selling their product. That's not my job.
No.
My job is to make an introduction and say, I trust them.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't want you selling my product either because you're not going to be good at it.
No.
I'm not going to be good at selling financial advising because I don't have the education to do that. So I'm just going to say, this guy's awesome. I like him. He does my stuff. Do it. And because you're going to get rebuttals to something you don't know how to overcome.
No. Well, and I think that's
Objections that you
the
can't
part
rebut.
of one-to-ones is not just, hey, this is who you need to meet, but maybe you even go a little further and say, well, this is how well I know them. How could I start conversation with them?
Sure.
What's the preferred method of introduction? So there's a lot of ways to take it to that next step.
Sure.
But I think a lot of people get, again, back to the one-to-ones, it's more fluff,
Of course.
They don't get straight to, who are the 5 people you need to meet? Who are the 5 people I need to meet? And let's see how we can help each other. And
So,
put it in writing.
If I'm moving further down that, because I teach my guys how to do one-to-ones. So if I'm moving further down, so if I have a sell, right, or I have a prospect that I'm trying to sell credit card processing to, do I call them and they go, yeah, I'm interested, and just never call them back? No, I have to follow up. There's no difference in that prospecting of a sale and following up with a one-to-one and going, this is what we talked about. Hey, did you call ABC Tool? Did you do that? Because let me reach out back out to them so I can solidify that relationship between you guys. And did you reach out to that person for me? And would you do that again? Because I'm following up on the one-to-one as well.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you're going to have the same one-to-one next time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to have the same exact one-to-one next time, and I don't like having the same one-to-ones because that wastes the time, and I might as
Or
well...
you leave deflated when nothing happens.
Sure.
But it's really...
You met a friend.
Yeah. Well, and so the one-to-one planner, we actually added a take action.
Sure.
Set goals. Whether you fill that out and send it to each other, or you just say, hey, why don't we touch base the first Friday of next month and report back?
Yep.
Right? Like, hey, did you get this done? Do you need anything from me? Or maybe they forgot, like, oh, Right, I forgot. Let me call them right now, right? So I think just checking back in, because what happens is then people are desensitized to the effectiveness of a one-to-one if they don't get results.
100%.
And then they're like, I just don't do those because they're not yielding anything. Well, take a look in the mirror.
Well, they also know, like my guys and I, Branson's new to this. He's about to join a chapter for the production company. But so I'll tell you while I'm doing this podcast. But I can have 30 people in my chapter, and I'm gonna do, out of the 30 people, 25 of them I might do once a year or once every 6 months, one-to-one.
Right.
But in the sphere, I'm going to do a one-to-one with them, quadruple the amount of time that I do everybody else. So if I'm a production guy, I'm going to meet with the realtor at least once a month. And I'm going to have a one-to-one at least once a month. I'm going to meet with a mortgage person at least once a month, because that's what I want to do. I want to do real estate photography. I want to do this. If I'm in the wedding mafia and I'm a videographer and I go, hey, we're a production company, we do video, I'm going to meet with that person once a month. I'm going to meet with them a lot. I probably will do a one-to-one once a month with each one of those 12 a year at least, because I'm doing something on an everyday basis, and I'm not thinking about Cathy all day, every day. Sorry, I'm just not. But if I meet with you once a month, I go, oh my gosh, you know what? I just signed up a multi-location doctor. Is that something that you're interested in? Do dentists join BNI? And you go, yes. I'm like, all right, well, this is really good for you. So this might fill 15 chapters. And I'm not going to remember to give that to you. But if we meet once a month and I'm looking at what I just signed,
it's a working 100%. Session.
And I can do that. And it makes me think about the referrals I got to give to you instead of just, hey, this is my world and I'm signing deals and I'm not thinking about it. It makes me think about it. But the best thing for me with BNI, and when I looked at it like this, I always won. Okay, I get to talk about my business at 7:30 in the morning, once a week, or lunch. But I get to do that. I get to do that. I get to be excited and talk about my business and work on my craft within my business, work on my networking craft, and I've already won without any referrals. Right. But if I do that, I'll get referrals. It's just how it goes. So that's what I loved about it, because I'm like, I've already won when I show up. I just really have.
Yeah. Well, and I think back kind of to the one-to-ones early on in my BNI experience, I had people talking.
What year was this? I'm just kidding.
1996.
Oh my God, that was when the Olympics were in Atlanta.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was. But one-to-ones, I didn't get the concept.
Yeah.
I thought, that's time I don't have. I need to get out in front of people.
Sure.
I got a prospect. And so I had people time and paper time that I thought was so cool that I had to be out selling, not having one-to-ones.
That's
because
right.
that took away from my prospecting time. But my CPA that was in my chapter was kind of like thunk on the back of my head. He's like, that is prospecting time. I thought it was just checking the box. Like, I don't have time, just talk and talk and talk. Because some of my one-to-ones were not turning into anything. It was just like a nice, warm, fuzzy lunch. And so I had them after hours. I would not do them during the day. And then when it clicked, I was like, oh, that's how you're supposed to do it. It's not just getting to know someone and talking. I mean, I could talk dogs, kids, food, travel, all day long, and they were more social, right? And some people will say, well, the purpose is to get to know people. I'm like, yeah, it is, but you have to have the strategic part of it too. So sometimes people will say, hey, Jay, it's a great thing, like you were talking about Roderick. I want to have a one-to-one and just focus on your business. Man, you want to wow someone's socks off?
Of course.
Focus on them. And it's hard to do that. Like, you've got to like really stay focused, but also plan another one. So it's time invested, and we know that.
But people, it's so intentional.
It is.
It's so intentional.
And then other people are like chasing cold calls around, 60% of the time, when if they just focused on their network and invested that time, it would yield 3 times the results than chasing everything else. Not to say cold calling doesn't work either. You have to have a blend of everything, but
that's what I said. Do it all.
Yeah, just do
it all.
Yeah.
Do it all, because you can pick and if you're doing it all, and I have my main group, which is my BNI group, I'm going to invite the cream of the crop to join that. From all the other networking I do, I don't want that guy. He's barely ever here. He's absent a lot at the other one. I see him once a quarter, so I don't want that guy. But every time I come to this, that girl is always there. I want that girl to join the group, and I have that seat open.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm inviting you, nobody else.
Yeah, kind of to your contact sphere stuff earlier, you go to your meeting, or you're supposed to go to your meeting every week. So again, my CPA, H.A. Beasley from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, had
Shout
said,
out.
yeah, right, yeah, he's still our CPA, but he said, why are you cold calling? Bring them to you. Bring them to your meeting. And I'm like,
That makes
yeah,
sense.
right, like
Sure.
duh. So
And it's a lot less invasive.
it is,
Right?
It is.
Like, I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm trying to add value
Help
to
your
you.
business.
I'm trying to add value to you. And oh, by the way, in another week, I'm signing you up.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, it's just it's a softer approach to cold calling. I would just talking about the contact sphere to say, hey, we don't have anyone in your industry. Do you want to come over and meet some really great business people? I'll introduce you to them. And if we don't know each other that well, it gives me a reason to call them, get back in front of them. Then my meeting sells me. It's a professional meeting. It's fun. It's positive. Other people say nice things about me in the meeting.
Sure.
That's a great prospecting tool. And that's one thing I wish, like, there was a magic BNI pill that we could give that was all organic, of course, to our members.
Obviously.
That they would get that.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, no. I'm like, that's crap, because there are people spending tons of money, energy, time trying to find business. Like you
100%.
said, you'd never even heard of it. And I'm like, just get past that and invite people to help their business and help your own business. So if they don't join, so what? 70% of our first-time visitors don't join. And that's not because it doesn't work. It's just wrong day, time, location, whatever. They don't see the value, but our members
It's the
get to
same
be back in
thing.
front
It's the
of
same
people.
thing as a sell, though.
Yeah.
It like
Yes, that's
I don't sign
Right.
100.
All of them? You
no,
don't?
I wish.
Do you cry if
if you do
don't?
that, nobody would need networking at all. Like, everybody I talk to,
I know.
sell.
Yeah.
No, you're
Yeah.
you're not going to sell, but to 10, 15, 20% of people. So BNI is no different.
Yeah.
And
And that's
it's
what,
a business and a sell.
Bailey and I were talking earlier about, 20 to 30% of the revenue that our members report come from visitors. But funny thing, from that small amount of, 20 to 30% of the revenue, only 10% or less than 10% of our members have had a visitor in the last 6 months. So when we are talking about if each member had just one visitor a month, think about that. Your chapter of 30, just one. And they're probably having 5 to 7. If they all had just one, it would increase the value of like $350,000 to $400,000
Yeah.
for that chapter.
Of what? Yeah,
Right?
a lot.
So
Visitors buy.
They do.
Visitors
they do.
buy.
And it's, so what? If this is a vehicle.
It's like walking into a gas station and going to the bathroom. You got to buy something on the way out.
I know, you're like, I'll take that.
You can keep that one.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's a keeper.
So, but yeah, so that, I think that's a great opportunity. It's a frustration point from our point of view, because if more people would invite, and again, it doesn't matter if they join. If our members are getting business, we're happy.
For sure.
Your referral partners stay longer. Everyone's more profitable. We all have more fun. And we have a shirt and we have mugs that visitors fix everything. Huh? Yeah, really. Of a chapter. If we're having a down,
But that is your sales. Sales cure.
Yeah.
Sales cure.
So.
Yeah. And when you run out of the lifeblood of your business, which is visitors or sales, the black eyes start showing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then, you have to follow up with visitors, not to sell to them, but hey, how are you as a human?
Absolutely.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you for coming in. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
How if I'm a business out there and I wanted to visit a group, not join, you got to come visit.
Yeah.
You're not automatically in.
Yeah. Just because you fog a mirror doesn't mean
That's
you're
right. You come and visit multiple chapters and see which ones best fit you and they fit and vice versa. So how can I get a hold of you?
BNIATL.com. Cathy at BNI ATL. It's Cathy with a C.
CATHY.
Yeah, at BNI ATL.
Yeah. My mom's is opposite. It's K with an I.
Oh, fancy.
Oh, yeah. Very fancy. Cairo, Georgia.
Cairo.
Cairo, Georgia. That's it. See you guys. Brothership. Everybody be kind to each other out there.